Experiment time. Today I'll be making 5 different starters with different temperature water, and we'll see how big of a difference it makes for the speed of the rise. Is it going to make a big difference? Hi, I'm Sune and I'm a food geek. Today we're going to play with temperatures. I'm building 5 different starters but feeding them different temperature water. Temperature wise, I'm going from fridge cold to cold kitchen to room temperature to yeast optimal to start killing off the yeast temperature. Then we'll see how long it takes for them to peak and how you can use temperatures in your own feedings and baking to help you make them fit your schedule. If you're new to this channel, I bake a lot of sourdough bread and I make delicious food from all over the world. My goal is to show you how to get the most out of every ingredient, and I want to teach you how to do that in simple and understandable steps. So join me by subscribing and ringing the bell so you won't miss any future videos. The starters will be 225 grams each, which means 75 grams of starter, 75 grams of flour, and 75 grams of water. The reason I use 1 to 1 to 1 in this video over 1 to 2 to 2 is that I expect the very cold one to not even peak in the 10 hours I have to record my time lapse. Turning up the inoculation will make the starter grow faster, as I probably saw in my inoculation baking experiment that I made recently. I've linked that in the card above if you want to watch it. If you want to support the channel, please buy my merch or use the links in the description for tools and ingredients. Those are affiliate links, which means that I will get some money if you buy something. Those were the words. This is the experiment. First, I'll show you how I built the starters. I'll have some room temperature water, some really cold water, and some hot water. I'll use the appropriate water to get close to the temperature that I'm aiming for, and then I'll add some of the others to change the temperature up or down. The temperatures that I'm aiming for are 5 degrees Celsius, 41 degrees Fahrenheit for fridge cold, 18 degrees Celsius, about 64.5 degrees Fahrenheit for cold kitchen, 22 degrees Celsius, about 71.5 degrees Fahrenheit for room temperature, 28 degrees Celsius, about 82.5 degrees Fahrenheit for yeast optimal, and 38.5 degrees Celsius, about 101 degrees Fahrenheit for start killing off the yeast temperature. Alright, everything is set up. Let's get the show on the road. Well, that's interesting. While there was a huge difference in the initial temperature of the water that was mixed into the starters, there wasn't a huge difference in the growth rate. Maybe 75 grams of water very quickly came up to room temperature. There's no doubt it would have been a better time lapse if I had mixed the starters 1 to 2 to 2, but I had no way of knowing beforehand. But you get the general gist. The cooler the dough, or in this case starter, the slower the fermentation will be. So let's say you're in a very warm place and you want to temper the fermentation. You can mix the dough with cool water, and that will make for a longer fermentation, leading to better taste. If you're in a cool place, you can mix in very warm water and it will make the fermentation shorter if you need it to be. This is basically the same result we saw in the inoculation baking experiment. So these can be used side by side. So you can use a small inoculation and cold water to make for a really long fermentation when it's warm. And the other way around, you can use a lot of starter and warm water if you're in a cold place. So as you could tell, the start killing off the yeast temperature didn't seem to harm the yeast at all. Would you be interested in seeing another time lapse where I try to push the temperatures from the highest temperature here to a very high temperature to see where the curve breaks? I think that could be interesting. No matter what the result, positive or negative, it's always great to see what happens in the real world. I hope you learned something today. See you next time.